Hey, it's Kelly from MXHideout, looking like a poser. I've seen a lot of confusion with air-fuel mixture screws. If the mixture screw is towards the front, which is the small flat blade screw, they say that is always going to be a fuel screw, where if it's towards the back half of the carb, it's always going to be an air screw. I used to agree with that, but that's not always the case. The first time I found out that this didn't work was with the KLX 140, because that has an air screw, but it's towards the engine side, the front side of the carburetor. So now my general rule is if it's on the bottom front side of the carb, that's going to be a fuel screw. Whereas if it's on the side of the carb, that's generally going to be an air screw. So why does this actually matter? Because even though they both are the fine-tuning adjustment of the pilot jet circuit, which controls idle to roughly quarter turn throttle response, the difference is the air screw controls how much air is going into the pilot jet circuit, whereas a fuel screw controls how much fuel is going into the pilot jet circuit. Or at least that's the best way that I can describe it to make it simple to understand. For example, if you open up an air screw, you're leaning it out. But if you're opening up a fuel screw, you're richening it. So if you think you have one but you have the other, you're tuning it backwards to what you think it is, and that's why it's super confusing. So I'm gonna confirm on this XR50, which seems to be a fuel screw. See, we got the half of the carb. This is the idle screw, Phillips head. This is halfway because that's where the throttle slide is. So this is the mixture screw, air or fuel. We don't know for sure yet, but it's on the front side. So the way people usually look at it is it's a fuel screw because it's towards the front half or towards the engine side, which is this way. So I'm gonna do a quick test to confirm whether it's an air screw or a fuel screw. And you always want to do these when the engine is fully warmed up, because the jetting is going to change as the engine warms up and all the metals expand and everything. So this is already warmed up. So right now you can hear it has a hanging idle. I just revved it up and it's still idling high. It might take a while to settle back down, if it does at all. When it comes to the maximum and minimum adjustment range for the mixture screw, it goes from about half a turn to about 3 turns out from all the way in. So I'm gonna turn this off quick. That means you need to turn it in. I'm gonna see where it's at. We got half a turn, 1.5. That was at 1.5 out. So it won't turn in anymore. You don't need to tighten it hard. You don't want to strip it out. So I'm going to start with half a turn out. We'll go half. We're going to go extreme. Half a turn and then test it, and then we'll go to 3 turns out, because that's about the max range for it to actually feel a difference. And if you go more than that, it's going to fall out more than likely. Now you should notice a difference in the idle. The thing to note, the difference between rich and lean as far as idle goes, or low RPM throttle response. If this is on the rich side now with this half a turn out, the idle is going to be lower. It's probably not going to have that hanging idle, and it might actually idle too low, so that we'll have to turn the idle in. It might not even want to stay running. It might blubber and sputter. Whereas if it's too lean, it's getting too much air, it's going to have even more of a hanging idle, and it's probably going to bog when you're opening the throttle from idle. And the more you whack it open, the quicker you open the throttle, the worse it's going to bog. So knowing those differences of symptoms is going to confirm whether the mixture screw is an air screw or a fuel screw. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments below. It's at half a turn out. Start it up. Oh, make sure the switch is on. I'm actually going to adjust the idle here just a little bit. So let's give it a rev. So it has still a little bit of a hanging idle, but not as bad. So that tells me that we probably went richer on the air fuel mixture. So turning it in made it richer. That means that this is most likely an air screw, but let's test it quick and then we'll go to 3 turns out. So there's still a bogs. You can still hear a hanging idle. All right, once you get to higher RPM, the mixer screw isn't really doing much of anything. So that's all we need to do for a test. And now we're gonna go to 3 turns out on the mixer screw. So now, here is where you can confirm whether it's an air or fuel mixer screw. So I think it's an air mixer screw because it's better when we turned it in. To confirm that, we're gonna go out 3 turns, so the symptoms should get worse. It should have a higher idle, it should have a worse hanging idle, so you rev it up and the idle hangs really high, and the bog should be worse. If it does that, then we can confirm that it's an air screw, even though the mixer screw is towards the front half of the engine. So we were already at half a turn out. We're gonna go another half for 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Let's get down on again. The idle will probably be different. Okay, the idle doesn't seem to increase much. Oh, it's actually lower. I'm gonna rev it up. Huh, okay. I may be wrong on whether it's an air or fuel mixture screw because the idle is wanting to drop down. I need to keep revving it to keep it up. That means it's getting too much fuel. It doesn't have that hanging idle anymore. That means it's richer because a hanging idle is almost always a lean fuel mixture as long as there's no air leaks. So we're gonna test ride it quick. Okay, it seems to have less of a bog right off of idle. Let's bring it back down to idle. Okay, it's idling pretty good, pretty good. Now it's starting to drop, and that's what typically happens when it's too rich on the pilot jet circuit, that is the mixture screw. So it's opposite of what I thought it was. This is a fuel mixture screw. I thought that all fuel mixture screws were on the bottom front of the carb, but this one is on the side but towards the front. So this is why it's important to always test and confirm your theories. So now it's too rich at 3 turns out, so I'm gonna try 2.5 and then 2, and then as long as the idle is smooth and consistent and it's not bogging, that is where you want it. And if it's more than 2 turns out or less than 1 turn, that means the pilot jet is too big or too small, even though this XR50 doesn't have a pilot, but that's how it works on all the other dirt bikes. Now you can figure out whether your dirt bike has an air screw or a fuel screw. And if you want to learn how to tune them in just a few minutes to get easier starting, more power, a consistent idle, and no bogging, wouldn't you want to do that in 5 minutes or less? I got a free guide on how to do that. It's an air or fuel screw cheat sheet. You can download those in the link. The links are in the description below, whether you have a 2-stroke or 4-stroke, or that is air screw or fuel screw. Did you find this helpful? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Kelly Fagan from MX Hideout. Stop surviving, start riding.